where I go, people secretly and sometimes openly want to know how I can afford to travel year round. While I've spent over a decade traveling, I'm not even at the halfway point of seeing all 195 countries. However, there are quite a bit of people who have visited every country in the world. I plan to talk to all of them, asking them the sacrifices they've made to see every country, what were their favorites and least favorites, their craziest experiences, tips on how we can travel more, and yes, how they can afford to travel nonstop. I'm Kevin Liu, the host of the Pick My Adventure show, and I'm glad you're ready to hear what it takes to be one of the world's most traveled. Hey everyone, I want to welcome Romaine Welds to the show today. Romaine, thank you very much for joining us. Romaine is the first Caribbean and Jamaican man to travel to every country in the world, and possibly the first Black man as well. That's a little bit debatable, but Romaine, quite an accomplishment. And I just want to say that I read your story in SF Gate, and I was excited because I'm from San Francisco, and I thought, hey, there's another traveler here in the area, and you did it in a very unique way, which is you actually have a full-time day job. Most everybody that I talk to, they are nomads, a little bit on the hippie side, and they're doing something in a way that they're trying to parlay their travels into a career. You are doing this in a way where you work full-time, supposedly more than 40 hours a week, right?
Correct.
And then you went to do this in your spare time, and you did this over the course of 14 years, correct?
14, 15 years, yes.
Yeah. So tell me, how did this mission get started that you wanted to see every country in the world?
Well, first of all, it's all started by curiosity of seeing the world and what's out there. Um, so basically, I wanted to see everything that I saw on National Geographic Channel, all those beautiful exotic places. And so once I landed my job at United, I started traveling like this place, that place, and then once I come back home, it's like I can't get enough. So I keep on traveling more and more. Eventually, I've been to like 100 countries. I'm like, okay, why not finish it up? Because I made the offer there. So that's where it pretty much started, out of curiosity.
So have you always displayed this curiosity since childhood? Have you had maybe an addict personality where you're like, hey, I want to start something and I want to do this all?
No, because I grew up in Jamaica and I have no idea I would be seeing the world. I dreamt of seeing the world, but I mean, like most kids in like Africa and those third world country, you only can dream. We never know that one day it will be accomplished. So you always start from a little dream, and then one day, once you have the opportunity, you just use it. Yeah.
Yeah. So along the way, you've worked a grueling pace at United. You worked as a lead ramp technician at United. What does that mean, first of all?
Actually, it's a lead ramp agent. So basically, what that means is once the aircraft touch the ground and pull up to the gate, I'm assigned to park the aircraft and also offload the bags, load the bags up, send the aircraft back up. So it's a pretty easy job.
Again. So
Uh-huh.
how did you make this happen that you could take enough time off working a 40-hour a week job and be able to travel like you did over the past few years?
So basically, I'm assigned to a 5 days a week shift, and basically what I do, I double those days. So I work five doubles, sometimes six, seven doubles back to back, and then my shift in return, I trade those shifts off so I could travel. So sometimes I have like 2 weeks, sometime maybe even a month closely to travel.
And aren't you exhausted after working 16-hour days and then going
It's pretty
straight on a
exhausting.
trip?
It's pretty exhausting. That's why I don't call my trip vacation. I call them trips because it's not a vacation. I don't go relax.
Yeah, so how do you do it? A lot of coffee, or do you just not need a lot of sleep?
It's that adrenaline to see the world that keep you going, or keep me going. So I'm always excited, getting on a plane to see the next adventure. But yeah, I'm exhausted. I mean, I get jet lag all the time. So normally I use like a day or two just to recuperate when I get back home. So I don't die from exhaustion.
Sure. So, can
Yeah,
I ask? This is everyone's favorite question for travelers. What is your favorite country? And I know it's a difficult question to answer,
it is a difficult one.
but tell me about some of your favorite countries. And if you do have a favorite country, what would that country be?
Well, I would say Brazil. I mean, the vibes, the people, the culture, the food is similar to Jamaica, and we have that, like brother sister country, and even the colors in the flags are similar to Jamaica. So I like Brazil. And there's so much there to explore. Brazil is a vast country in South America, so I mean, I barely visit all the country. So I want to go back and again. I've been there like 5, 6 times, and I still can't get enough.
So,
So yeah.
What is it about the countries that you visit? Like, what do you look for, and what exactly do you enjoy? Is it the people, the culture, the nightlife, the food, the beaches, the cities? Is there a particular joy that you have in every city, country?
I normally go for the landscape, the unusual stuff. The people's always the extra, and the food. But normally I go for the landscape and the people. Yeah.
And how are you able to do this? I know that there's a lot of misconceived notions about traveling being expensive. And sure, it can be expensive. I know for you as a United employee, you get to travel for or fly for free as long as there's an available seat.
Correct.
But
Stand by.
I have told people many times before that it's really not that expensive. It doesn't have to be as expensive. How
Uh-huh.
have you been able to budget your money to be able to see some of these countries that some people have never even heard of and are very remote, and maybe you have to take 2 or 3 planes to get to?
So apart from the ticket, which is can be the most expensive part of the trip, the next part be accommodation. So if you do like fancy hotel, 5-star hotel, that's a lot of money. So most of my travel for like 10, 15 years have been just hostel, and that shave a lot of my expense down. And then the rest is food, and food can be cheap. I mean, so the next part is going like on tours or paying for a rent a car for a couple of days. That's where the other expense comes up. But for the most part, I shape it down really low. Yeah.
What are some good travel hacks out there besides hostels, just to save money here in the Bay Area, which can be very expensive? But even while you're traveling, what are some of the travel hacks that you've kept to be under budget?
So when you go to hostel, it's best to like group up to do other group trips. So that save a lot, even on transportation, um, tours. It's best to have a friend or group up with other people in hostel to shave down some of those costs. What else? I think that's one of the major thing because if you rent a car, it's 2 or 3 people, then you can shave down the cost of that car per day. So it's good to go in groups or find a friend or share the trip.
And how
Yeah.
often are you able to travel with friends? Or is it mostly solo? What percentage are you traveling with people?
It's have been mostly solo, but now and then I travel with other people. Yeah.
So because you traveled so much and so frequently over the last 14, 15 years, have you had much of a life at all in San Francisco or in the Bay Area? Because you don't have
No,
any downtime here. You're spending it all internationally.
exactly. I spend most of the time out of the country. I mean, even for my birthday, I don't stay here for my birthday. I go somewhere for my birthday. So it's literally work here, work and sleep here, and then I go travel somewhere else.
Wow. So what are some of the what so how about so I asked you about your favorite country, which was Brazil, probably if you had to have one. What
Yeah.
about some of your least favorite countries, and why?
Nauru. It's just a small country, not much there to offer in attraction or anything else. And it's basically why I don't like it because they use Australia use that country or island, Pacific Island, as a detention center for immigrants from Yemen, Afghanistan, all those countries that's trying to get to Australia. So it's a bad reputation for the country, and there's not much here to offer. So I wouldn't go back there, to be honest.
How many days did you have there?
I think 3 days, but it
Three
was
days.
basically on the flight schedule because the flight, where I was going is the next 3 days before I can fly out.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
So have you had some difficult situations as a black man? Has it been difficult for you in certain countries? Have you experienced any type of racism?
As a black man traveling, no, I actually haven't experienced racism anywhere except in the US, actually.
Oh,
For the most part, in China, I'm like a celebrity. You go to Kazakhstan, celebrity. So for the most part, I mean, if you're a good person, a good citizen, I mean, you're welcome in most countries. I haven't faced racism anywhere else. Yeah. So
isn't that a shame that in the United States, where we have some of the best diversity in the world, that
it's
we
the
have
most
the
diverse
most
country in the
racism?
world. It's the most diverse country in the world because the
And
world
it's
is here.
Yeah, we have such a fractured country these days,
Yeah.
but at the same time, a lot of opportunity, of course. Um,
Opportunity big time.
so you came from Jamaica when you were 21 years old to the United States. Do you
Uh,
think you would have had this kind of opportunity if you were still in Jamaica?
Zero. No, not at all. Not in a million years.
But there has been some benefits of having a dual citizenship, having a Jamaican
Yes.
passport, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, big time. So, United States passport, you can't get into some country like, say, Venezuela, um, Iran. I mean, you can get into Iran, but you need a guide, mandatory guide. And some other country, I don't remember off my head right now. But the thing about having two passports, Jamaican and a US passport, is that I can go into some country like, say, North Korea under my Jamaican passport and have less worry. And say Venezuela, I didn't need a visa to go to Venezuela. Um, Yemen was okay. Where else? Russia, I don't need visa anymore. So there's a great advantage of having two passports, especially a
Yeah,
Jamaican passport sometimes.
sure. So I know a lot of countries do a reciprocal visa fee because we charge $160 visa fee.
Yes.
So with a lot of times with Jamaica, I think you can, with your Jamaican passport, you can get bypass that, right?
Yes, like us,
So that's
it
good.
was Argentina and I think Chile at the time. Yeah, I didn't need a visa. I used
And
my
do,
Jamaican.
and do you go back to Jamaica at all ever?
I used to go back a lot in the previous couple of years, but now it's just once in a while.
Sure. Is
Yeah.
there anything that you miss about your time in Jamaica?
The food, the fresh ocean breeze. Yeah, still remember those.
Sure. I went to Jamaica. I probably went for about a week. I
Uh-huh.
enjoyed it, except I feel like I don't know if this experience is exclusive just for tourists, but
Uh-huh.
it was hard to be on the beach because you can't really relax without somebody trying to sell you marijuana. And like you're trying to fall asleep, and then every 2 minutes you hear someone say, "Hey, man, you want some pot?" And I don't know if that's the same thing for locals, but that was my experience in Jamaica.
You got your personal drug dealer. No, it's an
Yeah,
unfortunate situation, but yeah, it's everywhere in Jamaica on the beach. These guys come and hustle you for, say, hey, you do want marijuana, stuff like that.
yeah,
But yeah, it's a sad situation. It happened all over Jamaica on the
I
beach.
see. So when you are traveling and being black, when you're in a
Uh-huh.
country that doesn't see very many black people, what kind of questions might you get? I remember I have had a friend who was in South Korea. She was teaching English,
Uh-huh.
and she would have the little kids would come up to her and say, "Hey, can we touch your skin?" And they would want to take pictures with her. And
Uh-huh.
this was further away from Seoul, but that was her
Uh-huh.
experience there. And I don't know if you've had these experiences when you have traveled to different countries.
In China, they grabbed me to take picture.
Wow.
I'm tossed around like a teddy bear, like, hey, come take a picture. And it's not like they even asked me, they just grabbed me. It says, hey,
Wow.
come take a picture with me. Come take a picture with that person.
Yeah.
But in Kazakhstan, we went like a 8-hour drive out of Almaty, the capital. And me and my friend was out there visiting this ruins. And we went to this small town. I guess they haven't seen black people in person. So we were walking around and we went to this bus stop. And this kid and his mom was there. And the kid ran up to me and beat me on the hand and said, Mommy, Mommy, chocolate man. I'm like, what in the world? I mean, the kid thought I was a chocolate man. He beat me on the hand.
And that kind of stuff, do you get offended at all?
No,
Or you
no.
let us know?
I mean, people are curious. I mean, I get it. And in that town, people are coming out of their houses, business. I thought they saw an alien because they haven't seen a black man in person. So it's like
Sure.
coming out, staring at me. I feel like I was like an alien. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I've had situations where being in other countries, just being Asian, and my background is Chinese, but sometimes you hear people trying to sell you stuff, and they're like, "Hey, konnichiwa," or they just group everyone together, right?
Yeah,
Um, sometimes they'll say ni hao to try to get my attention, and ni hao is actually
yeah.
correct for Mandarin, but um, the fact that they think that they can call out something and just make a huge generalization, I don't get offended.
No,
Sometimes I'll correct them.
sometimes just trying to make friends, just trying to use the language they know. So it's not, I mean, as long as you don't call it like the N word or something offensive, most of the time
Yeah,
they're just trying to make friends or try to, get your attention. So I don't get offended at all.
that's
Not at
good.
all. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next for you? After it seems like you are very goal oriented, especially with travel.
I don't
What
like to be
else do you
bored.
want to? Yeah, what else do you want to accomplish in the travel world? And after you finished every country,
Uh,
I guess this is another question. Let's
uh-huh.
start with that one actually. After you finished every country, what was that feeling like once you got to your last country, which I believe was
Antigua, Barbuda.
there you go. Yes. What did it feel like?
Oh man, when you graduate from college, that last day, that's what it felt like. It just feels like that heavy shoulder just like, you know, just relax. That burden, like gone away. That's the same feeling I have. It's like I don't have to worry about this anymore. It's done. So it was a huge relief. No more pressure, no more, thinking about going here, no more visa, none of that stress. It was like, yes, it's accomplished, it's done. Now I can just relax. So yeah,
So
it was
please.
that moment.
Yeah. So towards the end, did it start to feel like a lot of pressure? Like I only have a few more countries to go. I need to go here. And you're planning to get to these countries that you never expected you were going to travel to, but
Uh-huh.
also they're probably not very easy countries to get to. Did you feel this? Like, at what point did you start to feel the pressure? Like, I need to finish this.
It wasn't any pressure. It was just more like I could see the light. It was almost there. The end of the tunnel is right there. So it's like as it gets closer and closer, it's like, wow, I'm almost there. I can't believe it. It's just a few more countries. It's just getting closer and closer. So yeah, it was like seeing that light getting brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter.
And how did
Yeah.
you celebrate once you got to that final country?
Oh man, I walked through custom and they said, hey, the media is outside waiting for you, which I was nervous because I didn't know what the media was gonna ask me. So I was very nervous. So anyway, I was like, this is the moment. The first Jamaican, first Caribbean stepping through custom in a Caribbean country. This is huge. So I have to represent these people. So I step outside and I, had a big Jamaican flag, official Jamaican flag that um Dr. Dr. Onika Campbell, the representative Jamaica Embassy, gave me. And I waved that flag once that door opened up. I waved that flag in joy. It was such a it was such a incredible moment. And then my friends, my family was just right there waiting for me. So it was an incredible moment.
So your friends flew in from Jamaica and from the States to meet you there?
No, no one from Jamaica because of the old visa thing with America and all that
Mhm,
stuff. But there was friends in Miami,
mhm.
friends from over the States, um, friends from Denmark.
Oh, nice.
So
And
yeah,
how did you get the word out that this was your final country? How did the media know that you were going to be there? Had you let people know beforehand, like, hey, I'm getting close to that point?
yes. So my friends, I let them know, and I invited a couple of friends who can make it. And also, I was in touch with the Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Board, and they recommend the Jamaica consulate that was there in Antigua. And yeah, I invited her over, and she invited media over.
Did you ever? I'd imagine you didn't do this to become famous. You probably would have done this regardless, right? So,
Right.
what is that fame, that little bit of fame that's come with it? Because, like, I saw you in SF Gate. I read the Hemisphere, the United Magazine article as well. I'm sure
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of other articles. Has it? What is the amount of this little bit of fame? How has that made you feel? Is that something that's an added bonus, or you don't really enjoy it too much?
It's like popping a champagne at a wedding. It's just that celebration, that that moment of hard work, and then you finally get to that end, the end of it. It was a nice moment to celebrate. So yeah, it was icing on the cake. After all that years, the challenges as a Jamaican, uh, the background I had to accomplish such a feat. I mean, it's huge. So it was a
Yes.
moment worth celebrating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. I always tell people that I'm probably the most traveled amongst my friends, and I'm only at
Mhm.
94 countries. And I tell people I'm not even halfway done with seeing all the countries, and I've been
Right.
traveling for almost 15 years.
Right.
Uh, I work remotely, which helps, but at the same time, I do spend a few weeks in every country. And a lot of
Uh-huh.
countries I've just returned to more and more, but it is a daunting task to go to every country. The visa process, some of these countries are just remote islands that aren't easy to get to. What were some of the most difficult countries for you to get to?
So yeah, just back up a little bit. So yeah,
Okay.
I mean, to go to every country is a challenge, and I think it's a new trend going on right now because a lot of people think going to the country is a huge accomplishment for most people in their life now. So a lot of people are doing that goal to go to every country. But yeah, I didn't really have any difficult country apart from, I would say, Eritrea, and it's only because it was COVID. And
Hmm.
because of COVID, it took me a year to get a visa. But for the most part, like the most difficult country actually was easy. Like Yemen was easy, Afghanistan was easy, Libya, which was one of the holy grail of our country to go to, was easy because I got my visa like 10 minutes.
Wow.
10 minutes, which was like almost a record for the guy who organized it. Because
Yes.
nobody get a visa that easy for Libya. Libya is the holy grail. And then Saudi Arabia, which eventually sort of have e-visa and visa on arrival. So I was lucky that geopolitics was changing and country was changing the visa policy. So eventually things got easy over the years. So I haven't had any difficulties.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
So, were there any times during your travels where you felt in danger, where you felt scared?
Yes. Yes. I was in Mogadishu, I think, 2021, and we're in traffic, and the driver said, the guys they sniff a bomb. They have like a vehicle that can detect bomb. So they said they detect a bomb, so we need to get out of here. And I think it was in 1996 or something like that. There was a huge bomb that went off in Mogadishu, killed over 1,000 people. So while in the traffic, that was going through my mind. I was like, geez, if this thing go off, I'm dead. But despite I'm in a bulletproof car, that doesn't do much for a bomb. So yeah, eventually police trying to clear the traffic because we're in traffic and traffic is horrible in Mogadishu. So you try to clear traffic and we can't go anywhere. And there's a bomb that's gonna go off because the vehicle detect the bomb. So I'm panicking. The police saw the fire shot in the sky, to get the crowd moving. I'm like, this is it because there's nowhere to go. But eventually, in a few minutes we get out of there, and I was like, yeah, this was pretty close.
Sure.
Yeah.
Have you? So, I also get this question a lot as well, and I think as Americans,
Mhm.
we have these preconceived notions of other countries. I think
Mhm.
anytime I go to Colombia or I go to Mexico, people just think, "Oh, the drug dealers." They're like, "Is it safe?" And I actually tell people, I say, the United States is the most dangerous place I've ever been. The worst things that have
100%.
ever happened to me all happen in the United States. Nothing ever happens on travels. Uh, it's just so much safer. But my question is, how have you had a situation where somebody has tried to mug you or you've gotten something stolen? Because that's, I think, most people's concerns. There's always worried about muggings, right? They put something around their waist so they could hide their wallets, or that's their main concern, I think, when traveling. And has
Uh-huh.
that happened to you? Have you taken any precautions that you can give tips to potential travelers out there?
Okay, so let me switch one up to answer first. So yes, I hadn't been mugged, gunpoint, or any of those. But yes, I've been robbed. Not person, but in my car. So basically, I rented a car and I parked it. It was in Otavalo, Ecuador, and I left the stuff in the trunk. And they broke into the car and stole all my stuff.
Hmm.
At this time, I wasn't an American citizen yet, so I wasn't a green card, and it was a mess to get back into the country.
Oh,
Given that I was still working, so all my passport, credit card, documents stolen, and I didn't speak Spanish. So it was a big mess. So that was the only incident I have while traveling. And it was a huge thing because I was so stressful that when I get back to the States, I couldn't pay my rent. I couldn't even work for a couple
mm,
of months because I have to get all these documents back again in order
mhm,
to work. So it was a huge mess. And I told myself, I'm not gonna let this get me down. I'm gonna be stronger than this. So that happened in 2012. And then ever since 2012, I've been pushing that travel boundary, going to more country and more country than ever before. And eventually I get over that sadness and sorrow.
mhm.
But it was a tough one, the tough one. Precaution, I would always recommend people to have one of those money belts or yeah, the one that you can keep under your clothes because you always want to have your passport on you and not in your luggage at all time. And maybe put in a plastic bag so it never get wet because a wet passport is not a good passport. So always put your passport into like one of those zipper bag, a waterproof bag, and you
Sure.
carry it on you because you always need your passport. And I recommend that you email a copy of your picture page of your passport to yourself. At least that could help you as a backup. Should like it helped me when my passport was stolen because I had no identification. The one on my email was the one that I used, and it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
Also,
So one thing that you were talking about having everything stolen in your car from the trunk, I think having lived in San Francisco, it has prepared me well for that. So like even yesterday when I was meeting up with my friends in San Francisco, I took my laptop out of my bag of the trunk. I took out my sunglasses, put it on my shirt even though I didn't need it because
uh-huh.
I know that cars get broken into all the time in this area. So I do the same thing when I'm traveling. I never leave anything in the car. If I do, like even like a fast food bag, I'm not leaving that bag in there. I'm going to throw it away because I don't want to give anyone the idea that there might be something in this car.
Right.
Um, so talking about some of your more positive experiences, what are some of your best memories while traveling? For instance, you said Brazil was your favorite country, but what are some of your
Uh-huh.
best memories that you've had traveling?
Oh, jeez.
And I know that's hard after 195 countries and countless adventures.
I would say okay. Let me use this one. I would say when I was in South Sudan, it was a coincidence, and I slept with the Mundabi tribe people in their tent, and it was a high opener for me because these people are nomadic people, so they don't have much. They just like build makeshift tent as they go along with their cows, and they build this makeshift tent, with just a tarpaulin and just woods. And I slept with the kids one night because I couldn't get back to my fancy tent, and they put me on their personal bed. Like they gave me the bed, and the guy went to sleep somewhere else, and all the kids, there were like 5, 10 boys, I think. So they had like a fire in the middle of the tent, and all the boys slept around the fire on the ground. I I don't know how to explain it, but I was like, wow, these people literally have nothing and just sleeping on the ground covered in dirt and hash. But mostly hash because the hash up against the mosquitoes, insects, and keep them warm. And these kids with some of the goats and sheep, all sleeping together, and I was like, wow. And we talk about comfortable beds and all this kind of bed in the Western world. I mean, we have all this heated bed, we have all this cushion bed, and then these people just literally sleep on the ground, literally, and they were comfortable. I mean, that was their life, and I could never forget this moment that people living this way.
One thing that it's so amazing how generous people are when you're traveling, especially when they don't
Yeah,
come from much. But one thing that I've noticed when I'm talking to the other interview subjects who've traveled to every country in the world, their favorite moments are similar moments to yours. It's like these little moments that make them aware of how good they have their own life. It's
yeah,
never like bottle service at, a club in Miami or, skydiving somewhere. It's these little moments. Would you
yeah.
say that your travels have changed who you are as a person? Obviously, it sounds that way, but how has your life changed since you've traveled the world? Just the way that you view the world and how your
Uh-huh.
life is now.
Oh man, I'm getting emotional now. But yeah, travel definitely change you. I mean, if you haven't changed you're not learning anything. I mean, there's so much out there. I mean, you see people that have nothing, and yet they gave you the world. So yeah, I mean, it changed me. It changed me to appreciate, the people around you, different religion, especially now with Israel and Gaza. I mean, people are different. You need to accept that and be empathy to other people because we're all human beings at the end of the day living on one planet. So yeah, it have changed me, and I'm not sure because coming from Jamaica, more people are open up to me as a Jamaican compared to if I was American. But yeah, people are always welcome to me when I travel.
Yes. What do you hope to accomplish now that you've seen every country? You're still traveling, right? Are you still working these double shifts? Like right now, to all the listeners and viewers, you're at work right now. Is this a double shift?
Yes, a double shift.
So, Romaine is doing this interview right now during one of his breaks, and we
Uh,
do actually have a hard hour cutoff. So I know that I still got maybe about 15 minutes to go here, but you're still pulling off these shifts and you're still traveling just as much as you were before, right? Well, what are your
yeah.
travel goals now?
So now I'm on to a festival, and hopefully I want to do tribes and continue with the bucket list. I mean, travel never really end for a traveler. It's continue. I mean, there's so much in this world to see. I don't think it would take me a lifetime to see, maybe two lifetimes to see everything that I
Yes,
really want to see.
sure.
Plus working full time. So
Yeah.
it's a long way. But
Uh, my last interview was with a guy named Gunnar Garfors.
I know Ghana.
Yeah. He's a
Actually
great.
met him in Armenia.
What's that?
Actually met him in Armenia.
Oh, what the travelers convention.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and he's actually currently traveling out in South America. But he went to every country twice. And maybe a third time will be out there for him. But travelers never stop traveling. It's very
Never
true.
stop traveling. It's addiction. It's addiction that nobody wanna get rid of.
Yeah. So how you've probably sacrificed a lot. Like we talked about earlier about you not having much of a life in the Bay Area because you're spending all your spare time in traveling. Have you
Right.
sacrificed marriage, uh, girlfriend, kids to be able to accomplish this addiction or you continue to satisfy this addiction? And is this something that you're going to continue forever?
Yeah, I've sacrificed relationship because are actually kids, to be honest, because I don't know how to do it with kids and traveling at the time to accomplish every country. Most people can do it because they have the family, you know, help and background and stuff like that. But for me, being the only person here in my family in San Francisco, I couldn't do a relationship with kids and travel. So yeah, I sacrificed having kids before I finish.
Do you hope to have kids in the future?
Yeah, I hope after now, yeah, now it is manageable.
I see. Now that you've seen every country, that's the main
Yeah,
goal, right? So going
yeah.
to festivals that you talked about now, what kind of festivals are you talking about?
So actually, I've been to like 5 festivals this year already, I think. Yeah. So like coming up, I'm doing like the Day of the Dead in Mexico.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I was in the summer, August, I was doing the Tomato Festival in Italy,
yeah, yes.
Italy, and then
Those type of
s-
festivals, yeah.
yeah, the traditional ones.
Sure.
Uh,
Not like EDM music festivals.
nah, nah, no, I
Yeah,
like those traditional festivals
sure.
that celebrated. Yeah,
I see. So
yeah.
is there something that you want to do career-wise now that you've seen every country? Would you like to continue working at United in the for the foreseeable future, or is there something that you would like to do with travel as a career?
I think I stay here. The benefits is great, which can, use for my family and friends. So it's a great place to work, and there's different department to step up if I need to step up or move into. So it's a great place to work.
No, that's good.
So I think I'm comfortable here.
Do you have any pet peeves of travelers while working at United?
Yeah, I think one guy called me Mr. Worldwide.
I think they call Pitbull that too.
Yeah, I think that's where I get it from because he's Cuban too.
Ah, yeah. So
Yeah.
around the workplace, you
Mm,
get teased a lot, it sounds like.
yeah.
Do you have to talk about this all the time now? Like going to every country? Is that like always the break room talk now? Is that or
No, it's like the conversation starter is like, "Where next?
where
Where
next?
next? Or where
Sure.
have you been?"
Yes. Do you get tired of talking about it?
No, no,
Yeah,
I just like to update people because people are
sure.
curious. People want to
Yes.
know, and a lot of people don't travel, so you're like the travel reporter to them.
Ah, true.
So I like to keep people updated.
It's very true. I think one of my goals with traveling, I'm very active in showing my stories, the whole journey, not just the destination, the highlights. I like to show them the car ride
Mhm.
from the airport to the hotel, the chaos of the streets, the food, but because I
Mhm.
want people to know it's not dangerous and it's can be affordable. A lot of times I'll even put the prices of the
Uh-huh.
hotel or wherever I'm staying at, the prices of the food, the taxi ride, whatever, just to let people know it doesn't have to be cost restrictive.
But sometimes people are just lazy, to be
Yeah.
honest. Because when I started traveling, I mean, I think I was on I was on a limited plan of data at the time. I used to overdo my data plan all the time because I do so much research. You do your research, you find stuff. You always have to do your research.
Yeah, sure. So, how about going back to the pet peeves question? Do you have
Uh-huh.
pet peeves of travelers when you're traveling? Is there
Uh-huh.
anything that bothers you?
No, nothing really bothers me when I travel. I
Well,
mean,
that's good.
apart from turbulence, I don't like turbulence.
Yeah. I read about how your first trip coming from Jamaica to the United States, there was some engine troubles.
There you go.
Yeah. As for
Very
me, I have
scary.
what's that?
Very scary as my first flight.
Yeah, sure. For me, I do have some pet peeves when I'm traveling, and that's when the plane, before it
Uh-huh.
even stops, and people
Uh-huh.
get up and they're trying to like rush to the front.
Oh.
Or you know how like when you're on a plane, you let the row in front of you go, and then the next row goes, and the next row goes. And sometimes as you're coming off, like people are just rushing through. And it's like, just let the people in front of us go, like there's just, that's one of my pet peeves.
I think when people travel, they literally leave their brain at home. They
Yes.
become like a kid. So
Yeah.
you have to guide them. I mean, even at work, you have to guide people because, some of them are it's first time traveling and
Yes,
they
true.
literally have no idea what's going on. So, and then, people that when it's time to board, they rush onto the plane. And
Yes.
as the plane touched the ground, literally touched the ground, people are
Yeah.
getting their bags out of the bin.
Right, right. You're right. It normally is new travelers, though.
Yeah,
If I had to
especially,
stereotype, yes.
and it's not a stereotype either, but normally it's in the Middle East and those,
Right.
those third world country, I wouldn't say third world country, but people they're in those countries that people don't really travel a lot. So they're
Yes.
not accustomed to say, hey, the plane's gonna park, you're gonna get your time to take out your bags and it's have your time. No, as the plane touched down, they're going for their bags.
Yeah. No, it's true.
And they
They're
get they
they're
want to get off the plane immediately too.
they're in a rush. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember my first few times in China. Years before the Olympics was there,
Uh-huh.
everyone rushes during the lines. When they're in the line, there's no line. They essentially just rush to the front. And I told my
Uh-huh.
dad this, and just how annoyed I was because I'd be waiting in line, and then someone would cut. And he says you have to remember that China was a communist country, so things were rationed. If you didn't get to the front of the line, you didn't get food, and that's just how they were. That's how ingrained in them. They had to get to the front
Yeah.
of the line. If it's waiting for the train, they're just
Uh-huh.
rushing to the front. They're not waiting in any kind of line because there's no guarantees that you're going to get in or that you're going to get any kind of ration of food. So I said,
Yeah.
that's good perspective to know. Made
Yeah.
me, appreciate, like, hey, everyone doesn't have the same customs and norms as the United States that we're familiar with, and you got to calm down a little bit. Don't get
And that's
so
why
angry.
when you travel, you learn all the different stuff, the different custom,
Yes,
all this stuff. But I think China is about survival. The custom there is survival.
yes,
If you're not moving, you're getting run over.
mm-hmm,
People there are moving. So you
sure,
better keep up with the line. Otherwise, you're getting run over. You go in the train, you better get on the train. Otherwise, you're gonna get pushed. So
yes,
everywhere in China is about moving. You have to
mm-hmm,
move. That's what I learned when I was there.
sure.
You move and you keep up.
What have you used in your own life, adapted? Are there any kind of cultural norms that you've adapted, learned from other countries?
Oh, not really. I'm trying to
I'll
dig in, but
I'll give you some examples. Maybe it'll jog your memory. So
yeah.
for me, uh, I start to a lot of my female friends. I'll kiss them on
Mm,
the cheek, or cheek to
uh,
cheek, like kiss, because that
right.
happens so much in South America and in places in Europe as well. That I do
Uh-huh.
that here sometimes in the States, and they are taken aback at first because they're they're not used to it because
Right.
Americans don't do that. But
Right.
I've just learned that it's just such a nice way to like say hi to people that
Uh-huh.
they've gotten used to it, and they kind of reciprocate now. But at first it was like, whoa, like, and it's not, yeah, but I think it's a sweet thing.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's one example I would say.
Well, I think I did the American one, the fake smile.
Yeah. Yes,
I
true,
think that's
true,
what I picked up. But yeah, as a Jamaican, they really just smile a lot, and then once you come here,
true.
everybody's like smile at you, like,
Why are you smiling at me? Right.
why are you smiling? Yeah, so I pick up the American one.
Yeah, definitely. I'd
Yeah,
say in Eastern Europe, if you're walking around smiling, people are like, they don't smile
yeah,
back.
no,
It's,
no.
yes.
The Russian don't do that either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Most of my Russian friends here, they said they don't understand why people say, "How are you doing?" Why are they smiling when they don't want to know? And I said, "Well, it's
Yeah,
just to promote positivity for the morning. And if you go with it, you'll realize it's actually kind of pleasant, you know."
yeah,
But even
but
some,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, even when I get into my building elevator and I say hi to
Mhm.
people, I would say maybe 20% don't say hi back to me. and it kind of ruins my mood because at first I'm like, hey, hi, I'm not asking
Yeah.
how are you, I just say hi, and sometimes they look at me and then just look away. I'm like, and it makes me
Yeah.
want to say like, I want to take that hi back. Okay, like
I I think people here are a little bit more s- in their own bubbles. Like when you go to like other country, everybody is a social community.
yes.
Like in Africa, people don't pass each other without saying hi or do some face or whatever
Oh, right.
greetings. But here, I mean, people like you stay your corner, I stay my corner, you mind your business, I mind my business.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we're still polite here in America, anyways. We
Yes.
still do the smile or whatever.
Sure. Okay, so let me ask this because I am a proud Bay Area resident. I believe that the
Uh-huh.
San Francisco Bay Area is the best region in the world because you have Napa, Sonoma, you have Tahoe, Carmel, you have this diversity of the city, you have diversity of food. So, and the climate. I think it
Yeah.
makes us one of the best larger regions. So when you are here in the Bay Area, what do you like to do and what are your favorite places?
Ah, okay, I agree with you 100% that the Bay Area is one of the best place in the US. And
Okay.
that's why I'm here. I can't leave because I don't like cold.
Yes.
And then the closest place is Florida and Houston, and then they have their own hurricane like Jamaica, which I don't like hurricane either.
Hmm.
So here, one thing we had is the earthquake, which we don't have often. So it's good to be here. The weather is nice. If it get too hot, we got the natural AC, which is the ocean, cool us down pretty quick. Um, Talking about the ocean, that's one of my favorite places. When I have downtime, I like to go to Ocean Beach or to the ocean and just, get some fresh ocean breeze, fly my drone over there sometime, you know. Um, yeah, just chill at the ocean. I mean, many people don't get to see the ocean. We're lucky here in the Bay Area to have that access to the wide Pacific Ocean. So,
Sure.
yeah,
That's good to
nice
hear.
place to be. Yeah.
And earlier you had talked about you knew Gunnar from the Armenian
Yes.
Extreme Travelers Conference. When you go to those conferences, what exactly do you hope to get out of it? Do you just enjoy talking to other travelers? Are you trying to learn something?
So the ETF, the festival was the first time it happened, and that was the first time I met Gunnar in person. But I know Gunnar before in the travel community. So that festival, yes, it's a way to meet people that we know before, but we haven't actually met in person. So it's like a travel meetup, a big travel family meetup. So it's a great thing to have, and it was really enjoyable to meet all these travelers that you know for years, never met in person. So we just talk, have food, have a good week, couple of days. So yeah, it was a good socialization for travelers.
And you know that Gunnar met his girlfriend from that conference, right?
That's what I'm getting to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, that's incredible because I don't know if you have you said before you sacrificed relationships in order to accomplish this goal of traveling.
Uh-huh,
And it's hard, because I spend about 7 months of the year traveling, and it's hard to
uh-huh.
have a relationship because you're always on the road. And I thought,
Right.
wow, what a perfect situation for you, Gunnar, that you found somebody who could travel with you wherever you
Uh-huh.
go. And is that a hope of yours? What would be the ideal woman for you? And if she couldn't travel, would you stop traveling?
I think travel have to be there.
Yes,
Because I mean, how can you not want to see the world? I mean, I know people that have their partner of traveling, but you have to be able to travel. I think that's I mean, I think most traveler like to have a travel companion.
sure.
So yeah, I think travel have to be part of it.
What if they only have 2, 3 weeks vacation a year? Is
That works as long as you have the mentality or willingness to travel. Then yeah, it's fine.
Sure, good. Well, I know that we have 2 minutes until this hard stop. Is there anything else that you want to add about your travels? Any good memories? Any suggestions or tips? I know we talked a little bit about some budgetary tips. Anything
Uh-huh.
else you can think of?
Uh, Travel tips. Jeez. Um, I mean, just do your research. everywhere you go is not the same like home, So do research on where you're going, plan ahead, be vigilant. Um, don't be like a lost chicken in a foreign country. Um,
Sure.
it's good to always travel with other people, just in case something happen. Um, what else? Just be careful.
Yeah. And if we
Yeah.
see you at the airport in San Francisco, where will you normally be?
I'm normally in the F terminal.
F terminal. Okay. Good to
Yeah.
know. Have you had
By the ex
anybody come up to you at the airport and say, "Hey, you're Mr. Worldwide"?
No, I think most of the people who actually came to me actually know me before,
Yes,
and
sure.
they arranged to meet me there.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I have one guy from Newark. Newark actually flew over to meet me. I think that was a time when I was featured in Hemisphere magazine. He flew over to get an autograph.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
So
Um,
for the
sure.
most part, it's people who I know and want to meet me.
Yes. Well, Romaine, I appreciate you for taking the time during your break, and I know that you have to get back to work. And we can follow your travels at Traveling the World with Romaine on Instagram, correct?
Yeah. Traveling the
Any
world with
place
Romaine
else that
Welds.
you're documenting your travels?
I haven't officially do the old YouTube yet, but it's just basically Instagram and my Facebook.
Okay, great. Well, we can
Yeah.
see more of your travels there, and I'm excited that there's a worldly traveler here in San Francisco, and there's a small community you told me too. So
Oh yeah, it's a
hopefully,
small community here.
yeah, hopefully we can get together and at a time where everyone's not traveling, which will probably be very rare, but it'll be nice to kind of meet up at some point and talk about
Yes,
traveling. Yeah.
we're overdue for a San Francisco meetup, so yeah, let's I'll
Yes.
check with Lucy and see if we can do that.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we will talk very soon.
All right, thanks, Kevin, for having me.
Bye, Remember, Romy. You can find more information about today's interview subject at pickmyadventure.com and discover more interviews. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time on Pick My Adventure. I'm your host, Kevin Liu. You can find out more about me on Instagram at Pick My Adventure Traveler, where I let you pick my destinations and travel activities through polls.